Today's video is all about the FX30 camera and how I'm using them in multi-camera setups. Let's get started. Hey, it's PMR. Happy 2024. This year I'm going to be trying to do a lot more video content on video because it's a lot of what I'm doing. This video is going to be about the FX30. This is a camera that I bought this one about 3 months ago, and I've been kind of messing with it a lot and using it on shoots. And this is the one that came today. I just bought this one, a second one. The FX30 is the poor man's, basically it's the poor man's FX6. And it's a crop sensor camera that I'm using a lot. Last year I got pretty serious about my YouTube channel. As some of you may have noticed, I'm doing a lot more content than I used to. And in order to kind of garner more viewers and more subscribers, I'm trying to up my game in terms of the overall look of the channel and also the sort of production value. And you get a lot of production value out of multiple cameras. The FX30 is such an inexpensive way to do this, but still remain at a super high quality video output. And so today I wanted to kind of talk about these cameras and how I'm using them. This is the camera that I bought about 6 months ago, I think. I've been using it a lot in production. It's really neat. So much so that this is the one that arrived today that I bought. So I have two FX30s now. In fact, this video is probably going to be the last time you're going to be seeing me on the FX6 because the FX6 is going to get retired to the gear closet for when I have location work, and these are going to be my static cameras that just stay set up for the YouTube channel. So I'm kind of excited. Still trying to figure out lenses and what to do with the conversion to the APS-C. But anyway, so here we go. When I got serious about creating my YouTube studio, I knew I needed a solution for LED lighting. Westcott's L60Bs are fantastic and are the perfect blend of power, control, and price point. So the FX30 shares the same sensor as the A6700, and this is the brand new sensor. Sony hasn't had a new sensor for APS-C in a long, long time, and it was definitely worth the wait to get this sensor. This sensor is actually capturing 6K, and then it pairs it down to 24p, 30p, and 60p, and even 120p with a crop. But anyway, it's a very, very good sensor. And so because it's capturing 6K and then it's paring it down, there's no pixel binning. So you're using every single sensor in the sensor. Also, this camera in the same lineup as the FX3, the FX6, and FX9 has dual base ISO. So the two ISOs that are the base are 800 ISO and 2500 ISO. And what's cool about this is it actually changes by itself. It'll automatically switch to the one that's better depending on where you're at in your ISO range. And by the way, the ISO range on this FX30 is from 50 to 102,000 ISO. Now, a lot of people aren't going to shoot up there. It does not look as good as the A7S III or the A7S II or the A7S original. But you can go up that high, but no one's really going to go that high. But this camera performs extremely well at 6400, which is pretty much all I need it to do. The big thing with the FX30, of course, is that it has 10-bit internal color gamut. Now, those terms might not mean anything to you. And if you're a still photographer like I am, and you're kind of breaking into video, there's a lot of language that can trip you up. Don't let this trip you up. This 10-bit thing is a big deal. When you shoot in 10-bit video, you have thousands and thousands of colors that is being used on the sensor versus 8-bit, which is how all the old cameras used to shoot video, where you only get about 750 colors to choose from. So what that means in the real world is that when you're editing footage from a 10-bit capture camera like the FX30, you're able to exert about the same amount of effective change to the files that you are with stills. Now, I hope that means something to some of you because it's a big deal. In the past, when I would shoot video footage, I'd be really disappointed if I was off a little bit my exposure because I couldn't really correct it back too much. I wasn't able to do what I wanted. And with the FX30 having 10-bit, it's got gobs of room. The sliders go for miles, basically, so it's a big deal. There's enormous amount of dynamic range in the sensor, even though it's APS-C. Obviously, a full-frame sensor is going to be more sensitive to light and often has more dynamic range, but this sensor is really doing the best of both worlds. It's even a 26 megapixel sensor if you shoot stills with the camera, although I think most people are going to buy this camera for video purposes, but if you need to shoot stills, you can. And of course, 10-bit video is expressed as 422. And so if you see 422, that means 10-bit. So it's kind of important. Okay, so there are picture profiles inside the FX30, just like every other Sony camera that's come out in a long time. But big deal is S-Log3 and HLG, which stands for Hyper Log Gamma. So if you are in a really, really terrible exposure situation where you've got super high highlights and then maybe 3 or 4 stops difference, you still have to hold detail in the shadows, this is the camera for you. It will actually do that. Of course, what I do, I don't use S-Log. I'm a still guy that's still learning video. I'd like to think I'm doing it at a pretty high level, but there's always people way beyond me. I primarily use S-Cinetone, which is Sony's kind of Venice look. It's a cinema camera, basically LUT. It looks really, really good for just everything I shoot. And so I pretty much gave up on S-Log. I'm just not smart enough to edit in it. And those of you that can, that's awesome. But man, I just make sure my exposure is correct, and I do really well with the other. You can get up to 16 different user-created LUTs in this camera, and those LUTs will actually display on the display on the back of the camera, as well as it'll bake into your export from your HDMI. So if you're recording on Atomos and ProRes or something like that, you can put these LUTs in there, and it's going to end up in your footage, which is cool. Okay, even though it's an APS-C sensor, it still has in-body image stabilization. It's 5-axis, which is a big deal. If you use a lens on the FX30 that also has OSS, Sony's OSS, they will work together in conjunction and give you really, really smooth video even without a gimbal. So it's pretty cool. There are 495 phase detect autofocus points in the FX30 that go across the entire 16:9 field of view. And of course it has like eye tracking for humans and birds and, animals and all kinds of stuff. So that's in there too if you shoot a lot of nature. A big deal is that these cameras have real-time tracking autofocus and also AF assist. Now, a lot of people don't know what AF assist is, but those of us coming from the stills, we use autofocus in video all the time when we produce content. Most videographers don't. They focus pull and do manual focus all the time. But what you can do is you can actually have the camera, you can set the camera to do autofocus, and then anytime you want to, you can just grab the focus ring and it will automatically cancel that autofocus, and that's called AF assist. And so that's really handy for no matter who you're coming from or what you're doing on production. There's a way to use the camera or not in terms of the autofocus system. The FX30 is enabled with tally light on the front and on the back screen. It uses either SD cards or CF Express Type A cards, which are much faster download, which are handy, but they're expensive. But you can use appropriately at least speed SD cards or whatever. One thing too, people don't see, there's no BNC connector on these, and you go, oh man, how do I do time code? If you're doing big production with like multiple cameras, don't worry. There's a cord you could buy. It's a cable that Sony makes. It's called a VMC-BNC M1 cable. It's 49 bucks, and you can plug it into the side of the camera and then it'll export time code for you. So this can be synced up with any other cameras using time code, no big deal. It's kind of nice. The camera body itself, of course, without a lens on it or a battery in it, weighs 1.2 pounds. It's a very small and compact camera. It has 5 different 1/4-20 mounting points. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Really, it's 6 because of the tripod. So there's really 6 1/4-20s that you can use to mount monitors or microphones or whatever you're doing, time code machine, HDMI, transmitters, whatever you want to do. It does have a quiet, active cooling fan. Now this cooling fan comes on when needed if it's set to auto, or you can turn it off, or you can turn it to low. So you have three options: off, low, and auto. I have so far never heard the fan come on, but I'm working in an environment in the studio here, and it's temperature controlled. I've never, even with long form video, I've never had it come on yet, but it's pretty cool. It's got a fan. So it's really designed for long form video if that's how you want to use it. By the way, I mentioned the 1/4-20 taps all over the camera. There's 6 of them. These match up exactly to the FX3. So if you are an FX3 user and you're looking for a B, C, or D cam, these are great because you can use the same cages, you can use the same mounting, whatever you want to do, it's all there. So that's kind of cool. Also, you can power these cameras, virtually all Sony cameras now, over the last 4 or 5 years, you can power these things with USB-C. So it's really easy to do. That's how I'll be doing it in the studio here once I put these into production, and they go over there where you are and looking at me. But the USB-C is so convenient, and you can use normal like cell phone charging cables to charge and run power. So by the way those work is significant too. If you have a battery in the camera, this charging cord, the USB-C cord, is charging that battery at all times. So if there's a power outage or something like that, even if your lights go off, your camera's going to keep rolling, which is pretty cool. It's a significant thing for those of us that do, get under pressure on assignments. The FX30 body only is $1,798 in the US. It's $2,198 the way it's configured here with the XLR handle. This is really convenient. I kind of try to figure out whether it was worth the $400 for me to get this, but because I'm using an XLR phantom powered microphone as my primary capture for my voice in the YouTube channel, I just didn't want to have a plastic XLR, K2M up on the top or whatever. This made sense to me to just get it. And so I have one without and one with. And what I'll end up doing if I do take these on location someplace, I'll use an ECM B1 in this camera. And those are such good mics, and they make syncing I use Final Cut. It'll just sync audio, boom, and then you can do your multicam edit very easily. So for me, I just am finding great value with the FX30. At $1,798 a piece, this camera just represents a great, incredible value. It's gaining a really, really popular online following. There's lots of stuff on Facebook groups and stuff like that. People love this camera, even though they're using Venice and they're using FX9s and FX6 and FX3. It's just a really inexpensive and sort of budget-minded way to get real production value out of a great camera. So I recommend them. I'm actually committing my YouTube channel to using FX30s. Kind of after this video is over with, I'm going to basically be retooling them. So the next video you see will be shot with the stuff that's in front of me here, and you won't see them again because they'll be back there. Hope this is helpful. If you're interested in buying an FX30, please use my affiliate links. It's really important that I have some kind of cash flow coming back for me to continue to do these videos. Nobody pays me to do this. Sony doesn't pay me to do this, and they don't provide me gear either to do that with. So please be kind and use my links if you're interested in buying these. One last thing, this is a little hood that's very inexpensive. I think they're $12 or $14, and it makes a huge difference because there is no EVF in this camera. And so having the ability to be able to actually see what you're shooting outdoors in bright sunlight is unparalleled in importance. So that's working out great for me. Thanks so much for watching on PMR, and please visit the channel again and let me know what you think about what I said about the FX30. There's probably things I missed. There may be mistakes that I made. Correct me in the comments. Let me know how you're doing, how you're using the FX30, and let me know if there's any questions. Hang in there. Thanks for watching. Happy 24.